In today's episode, we're going to discuss remote work development opportunities and whether it might be a good fit for you or not.
Hey, what's up?
I'm the Coder Kid.
And I'm Mr. Miyagi, and welcome to our show. Right. Well, remote work has traditionally not been available as widely as it is today, and that's mainly because of the pandemic. The pandemic has forced companies to shift focus into having their employees work remote. During this time when we don't want to have everyone congregating. You need 6 feet of space, especially in the early March and April months. We had companies were forced to just have their employees work from home. The pandemic has just really increased this and has shifted, the focus for employers to have their employees stay at home and then maintain business as usual. Right. So this is greatly increased opportunities for remote work.
Well, and companies that haven't even looked at it previously are probably looking at it and like, hey, we're just as productive if they are.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how much we pay for our office space every month?
Oh yeah.
Maybe this is a good track for us to go down. And I'm sure there are a lot of companies that are, I've heard that there's companies that are like, oh, this might be for us.
Right.
You may just not come back.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be a transition period for that when they actually can go back to work.
Right. I don't think that offices in general will completely go away because you do have to have an office somewhere.
Well, and certain roles you have
certain roles and still need to be in an office but that doesn't mean that those roles in an office environment, that we think are essential to being in the office, that doesn't mean that you can't have remote work 2 days a week,
right?
Or something like that. If you're an HR specialist, you don't necessarily have to be in the office every day. You can do a Tuesday or Thursday remote, schedule.
Yeah. So what makes me perfect for a remote role? Like if I was kind of deciding like, remote sounds cool, should I be a remote dev or should I look for something in office? What do I need in order to be a remote dev?
Right. Well, I would say that you have to be a driven person.
Yeah.
You have to be driven. You have to be excited for doing your job and what your job entails. You have to be excited about coding.
Right. So I can't take a remote role and do 4 hours of dev time and then play Xbox for 4 hours?
No.
Probably wouldn't last very long.
Yeah, you wouldn't last very long.
Figure me out.
Yeah. I mean, there's a big responsibility when it comes to working remote. You have to be disciplined. You have to be detailed oriented. And, that's not to say that you can't take a 10-minute break. I mean, we all take 10-minute breaks. And sometimes companies offer you a 20-minute break between the time that you come in and lunch.
Right.
But you don't have to sacrifice that. But you do have to be disciplined in getting your work done. Tasks that are assigned to you, make sure you get them done. And get them done in a timely manner. And like you said, offices and companies are seeing that. Remote work is not bad. There are some companies out there, and they micromanage their remote work opportunities. And companies are finding that they're just as productive.
Yeah, without a
And didn't you guys have a town hall where they actually said that all the companies that they were doing projects for, they did not see a decrease in productivity. They actually saw a rise in productivity.
Well, you said you guys. You were there
I was there for that time.
Don't act like you weren't there.
Yeah. But past tense, I'm no longer there. But
we did have that.
We have firsthand knowledge of companies coming out and saying,
right. Yeah.
We
that maybe it's not a bad thing.
Right. Right. It's not a bad thing. We haven't noticed a dip in productivity, and you guys are doing a great job. So
So let's go into kind of some of the pros and cons with remote work. So if I was going to be a remote developer, what's some of the pros to being besides being at home all the time?
Right.
What's some of the pros there?
Well, I can tell you for one, your commute time is reduced to zero.
Right.
A lot of
Yep.
people drive in rush hour traffic. I mean,
Yep.
in the big cities,
Especially, yeah, big cities.
rush
Yep.
hour, you could take anywhere. Yeah,
California,
California.
Texas.
You
Yeah.
hear the nightmare stories of people driving an hour and a half to get to work, and then sometimes 2 hours back home from
Yeah.
work. And when you're working remote, that is basically vanished.
Right. Yeah.
And
You have none of that.
with the commute time reduced, your productivity increases.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
really
it
does.
can if you're part of that first group that you're driven and
Yep.
goal oriented and a bunch of other things. If you can stay on task,
Right.
then you
Right.
are
Yeah,
more
if you think about
productive.
it, and if you, let's just say you're in the office at 8:30, but you get up at 7 to get ready for work, to eat breakfast, to commute to the office, that hour and a half is
Yeah,
is
wasted.
is
Yep.
wasted,
Yeah.
and it's no man's land. With working remote, you get up in the morning, you get up at the same time that you always get up, at
Yeah.
7 o'clock, and then
Sometimes earlier because
yeah.
you don't have to, take a shower and all that
Right,
stuff.
right,
You
well,
can
yeah.
sometimes just
Yeah.
sneak in and be. I mean, you're plugged in.
Yeah,
at that
and I
moment.
know me personally, I worked remote for 2 years, 100%, and
Yeah.
the scenario I gave you was I got up at 7 and I was in the office by 8:30. I kept that same schedule. I got up at 7 o'clock.
Yep.
I logged on. I did about 30 to 45 minutes of initial work. Followed up on emails. I started looking at pull requests and started doing a little bit of coding, and then
And then after that, you
yeah.
went on Xbox. Or,
Well, no. Coffee, breakfast. But
Yeah.
I maintained that. 7 o'clock wake up time. But that
right.
hour and a half that I normally use to get ready for work and drive to work, I turned that into productivity.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that definitely is a benefit for remote work. And by the same token, you don't have to leave at 5 o'clock, and drive home.
Right. Just because you have to beat the rush hour,
Right, right.
you don't have to time think. Like sometimes I'll be at work and I know I have to leave by this certain time or I'm screwed.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so I'm like rushing to get out of there sometimes and I can't, if I'm in something, like it'd be nice not having to do that, right?
Right.
So that's one pro, the productivity and the commute time, vanishes
Right.
essentially. What's another pro that and I'm letting you speak because
Right.
I don't really have remote experience full on like you do. I have
Right.
opportunities, like I had a close family member, have a funeral and we had to come back to Oklahoma from Connecticut.
Right.
So I had like 3 weeks there, and then obviously the pandemic, and then I've had cases within my career, my short career, that I've had to work remotely, but not like a full on job.
Right.
So what's a pro that maybe some people don't think about?
Yeah, I was going to say one of the big pros that most people don't think about, and it has nothing to do with your productivity or work or anything like that. But the home office tax deduction.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I never really thought about it until my sister. Her husband has a home office, and he works for the FFA or FA.
Yeah.
But he has a home office, and she was telling me about the home office tax deductions that they get to take every year.
Right.
And she asked me, if I was doing, if I was going to file for my home office tax deductions this year, since I was working from home. And I said, well,
Right.
I don't know a thing
Yeah.
about it. So
Yeah.
she encouraged me to follow up with their accountant.
And
And
you
I-
could do like equipment and stuff.
Yeah,
too
I
on
was going to
there,
say,
right?
I had the accountant do my taxes that year, and I had her explain to me in detail what was the itemized tax deductions that you can take, and I was amazed at
Yeah,
what you can
it's
actually.
everything.
Yeah, I mean, you get to take a portion of your mortgage payment. And
Yeah.
of course there's a calculation that you have
Right,
to do,
yeah.
for
And it's
how
like
much.
square footage. and
Yeah,
stuff
how
like
much of
that,
square footage
so,
your office is.
so
and
pick
things
your
like that.
biggest room. No, I think they cap it at like 300.
I
or
think so.
something,
I think
but-
so. Yeah, but not only that. I mean, a percentage of your utilities and things like that. Because
Yeah.
you think about it,
Yeah,
your
because
electricity
you're
powers
using
your
more.
right. Yeah. So
Wow.
Any other equipment that you buy, your internet connections,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
AT&T or whatever
Yeah,
company
because
you
you can
use.
say that you just didn't have Wi-Fi
Well,
before working from home,
Well, no, but
or you
because
didn't use it,
it's something that you use
right?
for
For
work.
work.
It's
Yeah.
a tax deduction,
Yeah.
and I mean, we can do another segment on that, but
Yeah, we
these are
could
just some
dive
high
into
level
that.
things,
Yeah.
small couple of things, but just know that for tax purposes, you can write off your home office, and that's a big deal.
Yeah.
It really is a big deal, and it can save you thousands.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't realize that until you told me something
Hmm.
about, because this year we're going through the
Right.
pandemic
Yep.
and we can
Yep.
actually do that because we've been there for like it's gonna be like 6 months probably
Right.
before it gets off.
Yeah,
So
and just know that in order to be able to take the home office deductions, you don't have to be 100% remote. You
right,
can if my memory serves me correctly, the IRS states that you have to be functioning in that home office at least 15 hours a week.
right.
And that's less than 2 days.
And it's probably just a calculation. I'm sure I'm not gonna get as big deductions as someone who was the whole year.
Well, no,
But
you still
oh,
get
you
to
think
file for all
right?
those deductions. You just have to work a minimum of 15 to 16
Yeah,
hours a week in that home office. And really, that's a Tuesday
yeah,
and Thursday schedule.
yeah.
You go into the office Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You're in the office on you're at home on Tuesdays and
Right.
Thursdays. Or you could be 100% remote. But the minimum is 15 to 16 hours,
Yeah.
and then you can start writing off your home
Yeah.
office deductions.
Yeah, and definitely consult a tax professional.
Yes,
We
yes.
can't legally,
Yeah,
claim
yeah.
that we know what we're talking about on
Right,
here,
right.
obviously. So I just want to put that
Yeah.
so we don't get,
Yeah.
a lawsuit or something.
Right, but it's definitely something that it's a benefit. You need to look into it.
Yeah.
Get more specifics about it.
Yeah.
And it's a great benefit to have. And like you said, most people don't even think about it. And it's there for you to take
Right.
advantage of it.
Yeah, and a con, or I mean a pro, another pro is probably if you're that type of person that is a little introverted. A lot
Hmm.
of our developers are.
Right.
I wouldn't consider myself to be all the time, but am definitely. I have those moments where I don't want to talk to people,
Right.
and that can actually be a perk.
Hmm.
Where I'm remote from home, you would still have to communicate with the team most likely,
Right.
unless you were like the only tech person at the company, which might be attractive to some people.
Right.
So let's go into cons. So we have three cons.
Hmm.
So the first one is the social element of
Hmm.
it all.
Right.
So, like I just explained, that I'm not really that type of person who can just cut out people.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I like that social element. I'm able to talk to people face to face,
Right.
and you
Right.
can still talk to people with being work from home, but it's more online, through Slack or Teams.
Hmm.
So you miss that a little bit.
Well, another social element part of this is the social butterfly. The social butterfly needs communication with his peers. He needs to talk about
Like,
a problem he's having with his code or anything like that. There's those types of people. They're just
we've created a new species.
yeah. I mean they're
The social butterfly.
yeah.
You're talking about it like
yeah.
it's
Well, I mean
it's an
I'm one of
entity.
them. I'm one of them. I mean
The social
one of the cons for me for working from home for 2 years was that I didn't have that interaction with my teammates.
Right.
And there wasn't that the coffee mug talks where you're all
Yeah,
waiting
the
for
water
coffee,
cooler,
the
yeah,
water
yeah,
cooler,
yeah.
and you get to talk about just about anything.
Just
It could be work related,
formal,
Yeah.
personal.
Hey,
Yeah.
I had a problem with this particular piece of code, and you sometimes you can talk right through it just by talking with somebody.
Yeah, yeah.
And you don't have that when you're working alone.
And
at
you're
home.
more likely to do that. Like you can still do these things, working remotely, but you probably won't. You're
Yeah, you
more
won't.
likely to do it when
Right.
you're,
Yeah,
on site.
definitely you'll do it when you're on site, and
Yeah.
a lot of times for me personally, I've seen it time after time where I just need to talk to somebody
Yeah.
and talk through what it is that I'm having trouble with, and the person just listens,
Yeah.
and I sometimes fix my own problem just by talking to
Right,
somebody
just
about
talking it out, yeah. Yeah, and that moves into our another con is, the collaboration communication
Right.
piece.
Hmm.
Something that I like when I'm actually on site, right, and not remote, I'm able to talk out a solution or my problems on a whiteboard. And
Hmm.
I think you can do that with some tools online too, and you can both draw and whatnot. But I
Right.
mean, it's just easy to pull out a whiteboard, start doodling, and talking through a solution
Right.
with someone else, just banter back and forth. Not saying that you can't do it remotely, but it's a little easier for sure.
Yeah, definitely. When we worked together 2 jobs ago, and we were structured in little pods, with the infrastructure team, we had a whiteboard there, and it was so easy for us
Yeah,
to
just
to
pull it
just
out.
swivel our chairs around and pull it up and say, hey, we
Right.
start talking about something that we're working
Yeah.
on, and maybe some new
Yeah.
functionality or an idea that we
Yeah.
came up with, and we just whiteboard it really quick. And
Yeah.
in a pod environment, that type of collaboration slows down. That type of communication slows down, especially when you're working remote.
Right.
So definitely a con,
Yeah,
working
not being
remote.
able to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the third con that I had that I wanted to mention was if you're in that point of your career where you're more of an entry level developer or a new grad, then remote might not be best for you.
Mhm.
And you can still have aspirations to become a remote developer at some point in your career.
Right.
But I think it's very important when you're just starting out to have connections and
Hmm.
have people that are above you or that you
Hmm.
look up to that you can reach out for questions.
Right.
And again, you can do that remotely, but I think just being on site, you form those relationships better. You're going to learn more.
Hmm.
It's easier for a terrified new grad
Right.
to go to someone that's at their desk that looks happy.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
They're watching YouTube or something, funny cat videos. Like I want to talk to that guy. When I'm remote, I don't know what kind of mood they're in, and that
Right.
can affect me. It shouldn't, but it could affect me reaching out to that
Right.
that guy. So
Right.
he could be a scary guy from remotely because I don't know the guy.
Right. Right.
And when you build that on-site, relationship, the devs a little better, and you're able to learn and grow from them a little more, I
Mhm.
think, as a new grad.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, I want to go ahead. I want to add one
yeah.
fourth
Yeah.
one fourth con to this list, because I think it's important. Um, you know, New grads, yes, that element
Right.
is there, but also when you're a new employee, when you're a new hire,
Yeah.
the onboarding
Right.
process, it's going to take a lot longer when you're a remote when you're working remote,
Yeah.
to get onboarded and to understand policies and procedures, and to get your computers configured and get all the software that you
Right.
need to set up your repositories. What in my personal experience, when I was working remote and I was out at a new client, working on a new client's project, and I needed to be onboarded by that new client, it was 100% remote, and it was so slow. It took 3 weeks for me to get onboarded completely and to get access to all of the systems, and to get the software that I needed installed, and talk to people about how what repositories all of these systems were in, and it took 3 weeks, when really in reality it would have taken
Right. For you to just go in, get
yeah,
what you needed, and then go
right,
remote.
right.
Right.
All of that could have probably taken a day or two.
Yeah.
So definitely something to consider,
Yeah.
from an employer standpoint, and not
Yeah.
just an
Yeah.
employee standpoint. Is that
Yeah.
if you're deciding that your company wants to go remote, that you at least, at a minimum, do your onboarding for at least a week, and then turn
Yeah.
your
Do a
turn your
hybrid.
yeah
Yeah.
do turn your employees loose
Yeah.
for remote work after that.
Yeah, because you're saving all these costs like on offices, but yeah, if you're onboarding for 3 weeks, it becomes
Yeah.
it just crosses each other.
Right.
If not worse,
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
developers are paid pretty good. So I don't
Yeah,
know. That
yeah.
could
You
be
know,
bad. So
I think as an employee, you want to get your employees onboarded quickly, and have them starting to produce,
right, contributing.
yeah,
Yeah.
to produce and contribute, and
Yep.
that process could be a little slower working remote.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
well, I think that's some good information for today, and we'll close that here. Let us know if you have any comments in the comment section, and let us know what you think, and we'll see you at the next episode.
Yep.